Hello and a warm welcome to the Federal. I'm Neelu Vyas. There is an ongoing debate about the need for judicial reforms and also the reliability of the collegium system. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju has been making a series of statements, and the latest one where he says that there is no public scrutiny of the judges. He says that the leaders face elections every 5 years, but the judges don't have to face elections, and the judges are being watched by the people. Now, what does this statement mean? And where is this friction between the executive and the judiciary heading to? I'm joined by retired Justice RS Sodhi on the Federal. Thank you, sir, so much for joining. Always a pleasure to have you on the program. My first question to you, sir, is that if you've seen what Union Law Minister has said, that there is no public scrutiny of the judges. Now, what is he hinting at? Because people are reading it as a kind of a statement where the government is trying to tighten the noose around the judiciary. Do you feel so?
You know, there's no such thing as tightening the noose around the judiciary. There was a system which is envisaged in the Constitution. Now, the Constitution didn't come overnight. It has been there since 1950. Right. And we have worked that Constitution till 92 or 93 maybe. Till that when the Supreme Court itself, I've said it hijacked the Constitution and arrogated the power of appointment to themselves. Now, the Constitution says something different. The Supreme Court says something different. You've arrogated the power of appointment to yourself. And how do you appoint it? Now you have a collegium system. And what is a collegium system? 3 people in the high courts, that is the Chief Justice and 2 other judges, senior most, they form the collegium of the High Court. There's a collegium of the Supreme Court, which consists of 3, in the case of an appointment of a High Court judge, 3 judges, namely Chief Justice and 2 others. And if they want to appoint someone to the Supreme Court, the collegium is of 5, namely 1 Chief Justice and 4 others. This is the collegium system they have adopted. Now, what does this collegium do? Now, 3 of them get together in the High Court and send anybody's name. Now, who is this anybody? Nobody knows. Okay, they sent the names. Now, those names, after going through the process, they go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, again, the 3 over there sit, because it's an appointment to the High Court. 3 of them sit, and then decide to either agree with the High Court or disagree. Now, if they agree,
Sodhi, I did see the interview where you actually said that the collegium system is very, very unconstitutional, and that's quite a strong phrase used by you. Now, why do you really say that that is unconstitutional?
Because the Constitution, when it speaks, it does not talk about the collegium system. There is no such mention in the collegium system of the collegium in the system in the Constitution. On the contrary, I said so that from 1950 to 93, it was functioning perfectly well. All of a sudden, the Supreme Court decides to become their own masters, and as far as the Constitution is concerned, now the Constitution is interpreted. So how do you interpret the Constitution? You interpret a few words here and there which are not in the Constitution, but you deem them to be there in the Constitution and arrogate to yourself the power of appointment. Now, that is when I say that it is unconstitutional.
So, sir, what is the way out then? With a kind of debate which the union government is wanting, and I don't know if they want a debate at all or not, but there is a feeling that they want some kind of judicial reforms. They want to do away with the collegium system, or if not, then they want a government representation. Now, how does one see this? I mean, for a layman, this is playing out in a very ugly fashion. Now, how does one read that?
Yes, it's most unfortunate that both the government and the judiciary have virtually come to the roadsides, and are mudslinging each other, and have actually landed up into what is called the People's Adalat. So they are before us now. One is saying they are wrong, the other side is they are wrong. Now both of them of course can't be wrong, and both of them can't be right. So there has to be someone has to explain this to us. Now
So
I feel
you made an important point, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. You said that both are wrong, both are right. So, in their own ways, both are wrong and both are right also. Now, how does the middle ground come? And how does one interpret the Constitution also, as you were saying, that people were following the Constitution till 1992 and 93? Now, how does one bring out the correct interpretation of the Constitution so that according to the Constitution, the judges are appointed? Now, if you could just explain this a little elaborately.
You see, the Constitution itself speaks of the government appointing the judges, but in consultation with the Chief Justice.
Right.
Now, this word consultation has been read by the Supreme Court now to mean concurrence. When the word concurrence comes, then they say you have to concur with what I say. Otherwise, you cannot appoint. And I will tell you who to appoint, and you will only appoint that person who I tell you to.
Right.
Now, so this is one way of looking at it. Can concurrence mean? Can consultation mean concurrence? After all, they are two different English words, but they are being interpreted. Now,
right.
See, so that is when I say you can't hijack it. If you hijack the Constitution, you are doing great violence to it. Now, having done that, already the system has.
Justice Sodhi, are you hinting at the fact that if the collegium has hijacked the Constitution, or if the judges have hijacked the Constitution, then are we to understand, or are we to assume that what the government is saying probably is correct?
No, I'm saying what the government is saying is correct. There's no doubt on that. I'm not doubting that part. But what I am saying now is
on the legal footing. On the legal footing, you are saying that the government is strong when they say that there is a need for a government representation.
Well, when they say the collegium system as it is not correct. So as far as that is concerned, the government is right. Now, whether to have a government nominated into the collegium system or not, no, that I think is, again, now you're tinkering. This is not correct. You can't just tinker like this. You have to go back to Parliament. Parliament must then enact a law, and the law must then speak. What does the law say? The Parliament has to say something. Then you just can't keep tinkering amongst yourselves. I want the collegium. Collegium will have one more person. Why 3? Why not 4? Why not 20? What about the others? How do 5 people hijack the whole country's appointments? Things like that. These are questions which have to be answered. I mean, where is the system?
Right.
Where is the system? And where is the criteria? Who gets appointed? Who gets left out? Where is the criteria? Is it just the chancellor's shoe or what? You can't do that.
Justice Sodhi, what I don't understand is that Mr. Kiran Rijiju keeps quoting about the memorandum of procedure, which was ordered by the Constitution bench way back in 2015. Yeah. Now, what does the memorandum of procedure say? Does it clearly lay out the criteria and the basis on which the appointment of judges can be done after NJAC was squashed?
No, the memorandum of procedure has to be made by the judiciary and the government together. It leaves it open. It leaves it open over there. So now the memorandum of procedure has not yet been formed. Right. The question is, the government is saying without the memorandum of procedure, which is mandatory, how can I agree to whatever you are saying? And the Supreme Court is saying memorandum of procedure is already there. You have to follow what the earlier 2 judgments have already laid out. So you can't have a new one. Whereas the last judgment said you have to form. There is something inherently incorrect in the system. Therefore, therefore the memorandum of procedure has to be reformed. So here's another tussle that has come up. See, I am again saying these are knee-jerk reactions.
You feel, sir, that this memorandum of procedure is the biggest gray area in which both the judiciary and the government is floating? and they are leaving everything open to interpretation, and this kind of friction will keep on leading, one after the other.
Yes, because none of them are going to agree to a middle path, as it were. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. That can't happen. Again, see, the rule, the law has to be very correct. You can't interpret it and make a law.
Right.
The Supreme Court can't make laws. You just can't take to yourself, I will appoint hereafter. You made a new law. You have amended the Constitution, which you cannot do. You have no right to amend the Constitution. You've amended it. Now, you see, you have to go back to Parliament. The Parliament has to now formulate a law. Yes, have a healthy debate, both of you. But that's the judiciary and the executive. Sit, have a healthy debate, find out what law is best suited for the country, and come up with it. Don't keep fighting with each other. It's not a slanging bad match going on over there. It hurts us. It hurts the country. It hurts the institution.
But Justice Sodhi, just for a little clarification, you were saying that the law can be formed. Now, if the law is formed again, supposing, so how will it be different from the memorandum of procedure we are talking about? Is the law going to be different? MOP is going to be different, or is it something on the same plane?
It can be totally different. It need not. It need not be. See the present system is not functioning. There is so much going on underneath, which I, as a retired judge, also I cannot tell you what is going on, and well, it's unfair, because I have been in the system and I'm out, and now I'm attacking the system. It's a little unfair on my part also, but the system has to change. When it changes, a law will have to be formulated. When a law will be formulated is when both the parties are represented, and Parliament will then find a suitable way of doing it. But the judiciary can't say, I will not have the government. Why? Is the government something alien to us? Is it a foreigner? Is the government against the people? Is the government against the judiciary? Is it against the Constitution? I mean, why make such a taboo of the government? Government interference. My independence is doing my independence. You are independent, but you are not absolutely independent. There's no such thing as absolutism in the Constitution. There are always checks and balances. So therefore, be mature.
So you are saying that the judges have not interpreted this letter, apparently, which has been written to the Chief Justice of India, with the letter which has been written by Kiran Rijiju, saying that there is a need for a government representation at the Supreme Court level and also at the State High Court level. Because he added that line. He said that, my intention was not, from the point of view of the government interference in the collegium. He's made himself clear. Yesterday also he said that.
I'm again saying this, that these are knee-jerk and reactions. These are ad hoc. This is Adochism. You can't do this this is Adochism. And Adochism is not the answer. The system is bad. The collegium system is bad. I'm saying it in so many words. It is so bad. It is now stinking. It has to change. 3 people in the High Court cannot make a judge. And 5 of them sitting in the Supreme Court cannot decide the fate of the nation. Right. It cannot be done.
So you've been very upright and very forthright, in fact, when you say that the collegium system is stinking. These are strong words coming from a judge of your stature. But Justice Sodhi, my question to you is that if I may ask you for 3 corrective steps, and the immediate steps I'm talking about, what would that be? And who is going to take that step first? Or rather, if I may say, who is going to blink first, the judiciary or the government? And what are those corrective steps towards which, we can have some sane debate on the judicial reforms and also on the reliability of the collegium? So what would be those corrective steps?
See, now we are entering into the path that now this is a boxing match, which you have put to me. Who's going to blink first? It all depends who hits who gets the first punch and the right place. So I don't want that to happen. We don't want a victor and a
But
loser.
haven't,
We
but
don't want.
haven't the punches be felt on both sides, Justice Sodhi, as far as the government and
No,
the judiciary is concerned?
you are right. They are flinging the punches, and who's getting it? We the people. We are being punched.
Right.
Heaven's sake, these are our institutions. Let them. We want them to work. But the democracy will not function without them. So please, both the wings of the constitution, you must act rationally. Get back onto the table and decide what kind of a law you will be best for us. Now, it is from. I can't keep telling. I'm nobody to say this is the better way of doing it. That's a better way of doing it. It is for them. They are the cream of the nation. They must tell us, and we rely upon them. But we will rely upon them if they correctly, if they don't misbehave.
Right. But what I was asking you was that what is going to be the first step? Of course, both of them, both the government and the judiciary, have to come to the talking table. But given the present scenario, and when there's so much of friction, where there's so much of ill feeling towards each other, maybe if not in public, not on camera, but then that's what the reality is. So how will that first step be taken of coming together on?
I think the law minister must talk to the Chief Justice. The law minister will not become smaller by talking to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice is also our Chief Justice, and the law minister is also our law minister. So nobody is losing face by going and talking to some. These are rational ways of solving problems. I mean,
but Justice Sodhi, don't you feel that there is a certain level of distrust between the government and the judiciary also? Because when Kiran Rijiju writes a letter to Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, he also leaks it to the press. Similarly, the same is happening on the judiciary side. They bring out the criteria on which they have appointed the judges, and they leak the objections which have been raised by them. So, what is really happening?
This is what I'm saying. Two very, very important limbs of our constitution are fighting a battle where both of them are sinking into the gutters themselves and taking us along with it. I mean, you have to you're too big to start slinging like this. And distrust, when you say when you talk of distrust, they cannot be distrust. Parliament is parliament. The judiciary is judiciary. They cannot be distrust between the two. It cannot happen. Systems can't work.
Justice Sodhi, you quoted a time period, an era from 1950 to 1992. Now, during that period, were the appointment of judges being done so amicably that people didn't have the whiff of it? But then you also had a rough period where in 70s, the government just rammed through the decisions about appointing judges. So you also have those kind of anomalies. So what does the Constitution really say? I mean, in clear words, if I may ask you, how do we interpret what the Constitution has said about appointing judges?
See, what the Constitution said was how the judges were being appointed earlier. That is what the Constitution said. However, again, like you said in the 70s and all that, trouble arose because the government was powerful. And it started, it started misbehaving. Now that misbehavior had a counter effect. The result is that in 93, the judiciary said, no, we will take over. We don't trust you at all. Now, in which part of the country, or rather, which part of the world, which system of democracy do you know where a judge appoints himself? Which method of governance provides this? You can't have. I distrust the parliament. I distrust the government, and therefore what? I want a separate entity for myself. What is it? Dictatorship or what?
But Justice Sodhi, whatever is written in the Constitution, at least for now, those things are not being interpreted according to the Constitution. Appointments of judges are not done according to the manner in which they are laid out in the Constitution. So is time ripe for India to look at some other country's model, maybe like America or some European Union? How does one, I mean, is India ready for a model like that where you elect the judges? or we cannot go ahead with the system with that kind
No,
of
we have our own system. Our own system is provided in our own constitution. We cannot import systems from Japan here, there, or England, for example, or from America. The systems are different. So we have our written constitution. Ours is a written constitution. It is not an oral one like the British have. We have a written one. Therefore, we have to respect our written constitution. All right, we're having problems. We can amend our constitution in such a fashion so as to amicably ensure that the judiciary is independent. At the same time, the government has a say in appointments also. Like it has, there can be systems can be evolved, and there are no deadlocks ever available in administration of countries. You can't have deadlocks like this.
But sir, different people have been saying different things. Some people talk about a secretariat at the Supreme Court level, at a high court level. Some people talk about all India judicial services. Some people start referring to the Article 50 of the Constitution. Now, as a journalist, I also get confused, listening to so many voices that, where do we see things going, in a manner in which, it's for the benefit of everyone.
Yes. You see, now again, this is what I said. When they sit together, they have to decide on a system. There has to be a pool from where they will choose. There has to be a criteria of how and how do you get into this pool, and there has to be a permanent secretariat in all the courts, so that the moment there's a vacancy, yes, you have a pool ready with you. You can send names from here, and you can test them. Yes, no. But for every one appointment, we should have 10 judges, 10 names ready. Why should we just pick and choose because I like so and so? That can't happen.
Point number one, which I gather, of course, is that there should be a secretariat with a ready reckoner, sort of a list, that whenever the judges are retiring, then there should be a new pool, which should be ready in hand. Then the second thing, if I could understand from what you're saying, that is law a necessity now for the appointment of judges? Is law a necessity?
Well, see, what we are running today is by a judgment of the court. There's no law really. The judgment is deemed to be law. That's how it is. Now we are running into a deeming provision. No, we do need a law. We need a proper law which can be interpreted rightly or wrongly. But we can interpret the thing, and the system itself must evolve. If we don't want a collegium system, we don't want a collegium system. Why should we have a collegium system? We have a pool. From this pool.
But it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done, saying that collegium system is not working, so we completely do away with that. But how many judges would be ready for it?
No, what? In every high court, you have 20, 30, 40, 100 judges in one high court. Are they others just redundant? I mean, you can meet in a full court and pick up a name. You solve all your problems while sitting in a full court. How are the others to be excluded? Just the first three? I mean, the country must run collectively. You can't just hand over the keys to two of them or three of them. I will decide. We will decide. That won't work. That doesn't work like this way.
Right.
So this is what I'm telling you. They have to evolve a respectable system. They have to.
So this respectable system you're talking about, sir, this respectable system you're talking about, is it going to come through the law? Something on the lines of NJAC?
It has to be a law.
The lines of NJAC?
No, see, it has to be a law. Whether it is in that line, this line, that line, these are all debatable. They can debate themselves. They can find a way where, you see, we've got to keep everything balanced. Independence of the judiciary is important. The executive say or the legislative say is also important. Now we can't do with both of them like this. Now, see, look at the independence of judiciary. Let me just give you a little example. Now, independence of the judiciary. What about the high courts? How independent are they left now? What about they are also constitutional authorities. They are being appointed
No,
and
but,
dismissed. No, not
right.
dismissed. They are being appointed, shunted out to wherever the place you want. Anybody you want, you pick up. Then I will make you the Chief Justice of so and so place. You come back over here.
But
You
Justice
look at
Sodhi,
your
there's-
monitors.
Right.
How is that
I-
that working?
I understand
Where is
what
the
you're
independence of the High Court?
But sir, there are loopholes even in the foolproof systems also. If you look at the appointment of the CBI director or the chief vigilance commissioner, there is an opposition. The leader of the opposition is also there. The government representation is also there. But despite that, the autonomy of the organization is questioned. How independent is the CBI director? How independent is the CVC? We keep raising these questions. So will the same thing not happen? I mean, will the same thing not happen?
The same is happening now. So reduce the friction. We can reduce the friction. If we may not be able to totally do away with it, we may not have a perfect system, but at least we can aim for a perfect one. Let's try and move towards it. Right? What's wrong in that?
Okay. And one last question before I wind up. Your video was shared by Kiran Rijiju, where you are saying that, the judiciary has sort of hijacked the constitution. And then after that, you even said that let Kiran Rijiju not shoot off my shoulders. So how does one understand? I was looking at that interview and found it very interesting. But this line which you used, I wanted a little clarification on that before I end the interview, where you said that let him not shoot off my shoulders. Yes.
See, when I said the constitution has been hijacked, I said it. Huh? If he wants to say it, let him say it. Don't say it through me.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We're running out of time, and it was always lovely to have you on the program as always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And stay tuned to the Federal and share this video as much as you can. Also send us your feedback. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.